So let me just introduce you to Dr. Ian Ross. For over 40 years, he has been practicing as a dentist. Ian is now retired and living in the gorgeous grape-growing area of the Barossa Valley in South Australia, and he will be able to pronounce where he is staying. He now spends most mornings, he tells me, swimming before breakfast, and 3 days a week goes out to the gym. Well, Ian, I do envy you, you lucky devil. It's something I would love to do. And while I think about that, yes, remember, I do go for my little jog each weekend, and I have healed beautifully thanks to our products. The remaining days he spends in his gardens amongst his cacti, his tomatoes, and his vegetables. Now, Ian was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease over 5 years ago and finds keeping active has helped. However, since taking SE3, his Parkinson's symptoms are disappearing. And he tells me his voice is returning to normal and he can now sing again in the church each week. So, I don't know, Ian, perhaps we should get you singing this testimonial to us. I know Ian is excited about building his StemTech business. I've had the delight of contacting him. Initially, it was through an email from Graham Kelly, who said, look, I've just been talking to this most incredible man. He's taking our products, give him a ring and have a chat to him. And so I did give him a ring and introduce myself. And after hearing his story, I said, we have got to get this out into the wider world. So without further ado, Ian, if you were there, I'm going to pass this over to you. Welcome and thank you for giving us your time this evening.
Thanks, Lee.
Ian, I might just do a double check that you can hear Ian okay. So Ian, if you start talking, I'll just check the text box and then we'll get going.
Okay. I'm going to start now?
Yes, we're all sweet. Everybody can hear you. Beautiful. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, my name is Ian Ross. I'm a retired dentist and I have Parkinson's disease. Receiving a diagnosis for a chronic, progressive, neurodegenerative disease like Parkinson's is life-changing. And dealing with the challenges that this disease brings on a daily basis can cause a great deal of stress. I'm here today to tell you that even though I have Parkinson's, I have found a new lease of life. For those of you who don't know what Parkinson's disease is, it's a degenerative disease of the brain, spinal cord, and nervous system. One of the fundamental causes of Parkinson's disease is a loss of dopamine, which is a neurotransmitting chemical acting within the brain to help regulate movement and emotion in the areas of the brain that support those. Slow movement and tremors usually result. Research has shown that Parkinson's responds to cellular therapy, which involves the introduction of new functional cells to restore damaged tissue. For example, the source of dopamine neurons to replace the function of those lost in the neurodegenerative process. Let's make it more simple. So let me first tell you about some more aspects of the disease. It has many symptoms, from tremors to memory changes. There are many types of pains in Parkinson's. There are mood disorders, sleep disorders, drooling and excess saliva, speech and language problems. So, they're just some of the symptoms that I'm suffering. Let me tell you about a rescue tremor. For 3 out of every 4 people who develop Parkinson's disease begins with a trembling or shaking in one hand. It can also appear in the feet, face, or jaw, but usually it appears in one of the hands. Tremor happens when the muscles of the hands are relaxed and at rest, hence the name resting tremor. The tremor usually looks like you're rolling a cigarette, a coin, or a pill between your thumb and index finger. That's why it's also called a pill rolling tremor. What causes Parkinson's? Scientists have not yet solved the mystery of what causes the tremor. They have some good clues. These movement-related brain sites are organized into circuits that specialize in producing various types of movement. One of these circuits involves a regulatory brain region known as the thalamus. The thalamus helps to regulate movements by relaying sensory information about the movements from the senses up to the brain. The brain uses sensory feedback from the thalamus to control complex movements. Lots of dopamine in the brain. This is really important. Lots of dopamine in the brain circuit containing the thalamus disrupts operations of the thalamus. When the level of dopamine reaches a critically low level, the thalamus loses its normal regulatory input and tremor results. When the brain cannot get accurate sensory feedback about how well movements are proceeding, it can no longer effectively correct bad movements or adjust slow movements and so forth. Most complex movements, such as fingers and hands, are the first to be affected and the most affected. Now, the best treatment option for resting tremor is still dopamine replacement therapy. Because there is no objective test or marker for Parkinson's disease, the physician looking after management of your illness relies heavily on the information you provide. This is different than other diseases, such as high blood pressure or diabetes, where the tests or studies can objectively let the doctor know how well your disease is under control. Knowing what information to record and convey is extremely important and can ultimately affect the quality of your life. Now, I want to just tell you about a program that the BBC showed, and effectively what it said was stem cells can be used to heal the damage in the brain caused by Parkinson's disease. This is according to Lund University in Sweden. They said their study on rats heralded a huge breakthrough towards developing effective treatments. There is no cure for the disease, but medication and brain stimulation can relieve symptoms. That's what they believed at the time. caused by loss of nerve cells in the brain that produce the chemical dopamine, which we've already heard before. To simulate Parkinson's disease, London University researchers killed dopamine-producing neurons on one side of rats' brains. They then converted human embryonic stem cells into neurons that produce dopamine. These were injected into rats' brains, and the researchers found evidence that damage was reversed. Now that's very, very significant. There have been no human clinical trials of stem cell-derived neurons, but the researchers say they could be ready for testing by 2017. Clinical trials, wait, I just lost my place here. Using embryonic stem cells may be preferable. It's easier to get hold of a large number of cells needed for transplant by growing them in the laboratory. It opens up the possibility of using certain sources of stem cells, such as those made from adult tissue. The charity Parkinsons UK said the research could be a stride towards clinical trials in people with Parkinson's. Its director of research and development said the important research is a key step along the way in helping us to understand how stem cells might shape the future Parkinson's treatments. There are important potential advantages of these cells over fetal-derived cells in past cell transplants. Now that's very important because what he's saying is there that adult stem cells are the way to go. So just keep that in the back of your minds. This study could be a stride towards clinical trials in people with Parkinson's, but there's still many questions that need to be answered. So that was 2014, and that was quite a breakthrough in the scientific community. So they're effectively saying in the scientific community, adult stem cells are the way to go in people Parkinson's. Right. So what then is that I've found my good news to be so simple? Firstly, a healthy diet of fresh fruit and vegetables is not only useful, yet it is tasty and nourishing. There is protein in most foods, so you should limit your red meat intake to once or twice a week, and use chicken and fish of all different types. Turkey mince is a good substitute for ground beef and has lower in fat content. Now, dietary treats can be had, but please limit them. The question of exercise, and this will vary from person to person. Do as much as you possibly can on a daily basis, working up from small amounts to longer distances, higher weights, more laps, etc. Comedy. Have fun and laugh. The old adage is laughter is the best medicine. Now that's important because what that does is it generates more dopamine in the brain, and you'll notice any changed dramatically because since taking SE3, not only have most of my Parkinson's symptoms disappeared, I can sing in church again, and I value that. I feel better, and I'm having fun. Life is about living a good life. So I've got a lot to be thankful for, and SE3 has certainly made a big impact on my disease progression.
Thank you, Ian. Can I just ask you, how many SE3 are you taking a day, and how long have you been taking SE3?
I'm taking 2 capsules 3 times a day, and I've been taking 2 capsules plus StemFlo for about 4 months now.
And how long had you been taking it before you started to notice a difference?
About 3 to 4 weeks. I got a dramatic lift in energy after about 3 weeks. My voice started to come back, and the tremors in my right hand started to disappear.
Gosh, that's amazing. Thank you. Just while I reiterate on the research, if anybody has a question they'd like to ask Dr. Ian Ross, by all means type it in and I can ask it on your behalf. But just to reiterate on what was highlighted in that conversation that I picked up, as I had the opportunity of talking to Ian, and I made some notes in the last few weeks, was this research that was done. And initially they had said that using embryonic stem cells may be preferable. That's because they're able to get hold of large amounts of cells needed and grow them in the laboratory. We know that. However, of course, that opened up that huge ethical debate. What I love is that it's saying that it opens up the possibility for using other sources of stem cells, such as adult stem cells. And the Director of Research and Development, if anyone's interested in researching it, is Alan Roach. And he was the one who said this important research is a key step along the way in helping us to understand how stem cells might shape future Parkinson's treatment. Righty-ho. So we have a question here from... That's right. Ian, we have a question here from Daphne, who's asking, do you take SE3 alone or with StemFlo? Daphne, Ian did say he takes... Yes, he does take both of them together. Absolutely. So Ezra's saying, that's awesome to hear, Ian. Glad to hear what's been happening to you. Ezra's up in the far north of the North Island here in New Zealand, Ian. And we've got a, well done, Ian. Glad to hear of your experience with our products. Adam, so good to hear how well that you're doing, Ian. Mind you, you can probably read these yourself on the webinar.
Next time, Dan. Thank you, Lisa.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, we will. I know it's fantastic. So please do keep typing up your comments and questions. And Ian, I will let you go, and you can sit and relax and have a cup of tea and watch the rest of the webinar. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Lee.
Bye bye now.
Goodbye.